Welcome back to Green is Good. We're so excited to have Shaun Stenshol on with us today. He's the founder and president of Bio-Beetle Eco Rental Cars. Welcome to Green is Good, Shaun.
Great, thanks for having me.
You know, Shaun, you have a great background, and you've been very green ever before you ever founded this great eco rental car company, Bio-Beetle. But, you know, share a little bit of your life and your journey leading up to the founding of Bio-Beetle Eco Rental Cars.
Well, I was in Kansas City. That's my home. That's where my family lives. And back in the early 90s. And I was actually managing a convenience store, and I just, the Gulf War was happening at the time. This was 1990, 91. And I just felt like I wasn't doing quite the right thing. So I ended up quitting that job. And then it happened that Greenpeace had an office in Kansas City at the time. And I ended up, I found they had an ad in the paper for a job, so I was curious what Greenpeace was doing in Kansas City since there's no whales to save in Kansas City. So I went there, and I started working for Greenpeace, and that's where my environmental life began, and my activism, and I focused on stopping nuclear weapons testing in the Nevada desert, and I was opposed to nuclear power and focusing on, renewable energy, solar, wind, things like that. And I was really focused on that. And then I learned about biodiesel. There was one of my friends at the Greenpeace office turned me on to this story about these 5 women who drove cross-country in a diesel van and made their own biodiesel as they went along, which was just amazing. They drove, 3,000 miles just across the country, stopping at restaurants and
unbelievable.
Yeah. So, and then I ended up in Austin, Texas, working for Greenpeace there, doing other forms of activism, and for about 6 years before I moved to Maui. And I moved to Maui, and it was really fortunate because like the month before I moved to Maui, a local company started where they started making biodiesel out of the used cooking oil, like from the local restaurants. And I thought, I'm on Maui, so, and there's a lot of tourists that come to Maui, so I thought that it was it'd be interesting to rent diesel cars to the tourists that come to Maui.
And also you were involved also in the recycling business too, right?
Yeah, well, when I moved here, I didn't intend to necessarily live here when I came here. I just decided that, if I decided to stay, I would stay. And I ended up looking for a job, and there was a local recycling company that was looking for people, and got that job. And Maui Recycling Service, the name of that company. And several years later, I ended up buying that company from the 2 owners, and because obviously that goes hand in hand with everything I've been working on, and then we started running our diesel trucks on biodiesel with that company as well. So
perfect. And then you started Bio-Beetle Eco Rental Cars. Yeah,
my partner Pam, who moved here in 2002. In fact, I had bought a car before she had moved here with the idea of starting Bio-Beetle. I bought a used 2000 Volkswagen Beetle diesel, and I just bought it because I just saw it at the dealership. It was available, and I thought, well, I got to buy it, and then I'll just figure out how I'm going to start the company from there. And we ended up starting the company with the one car, believe it or not, and we actually had a local rental car company here manage the cars for us until we grew to be big enough to manage our own cars.
And so now I'm on your website. For our listeners out there, we've got Shaun Stenshol on the phone here. He's the founder and president of Bio-Beetle Eco Rental Cars, and it's www.bio-beetle.com. Talk a little bit. I'm on your website. This is great, and I got to mention this. Shaun's in Maui, in Hawaii. So this great company exists in Maui. Unfortunately, there's not a Bio-Beetle today all across the great United States of America, but this is in Maui. So if you're going there, I would definitely look up Bio-Beetle and BioBeetle.com and Bio-Beetle Rental Cars. So talk a little bit about what's so different about your company as opposed to, the big names that we all grew up with, Avis and Hertz and all those great companies.
Well, our focus is being the greenest rental car company on the planet.
And what does that mean? Share with our listeners what that means to you.
Well, from the car perspective, cars are not green by their nature.
Right.
Obviously. And so, also part of my reason for starting the company was, you got to take an existing business and make it green, or make it as green as you can.
Right.
So with Bio-Beetle, we have the biodiesel cars, which run on the biodiesel, which is made from used cooking oil collected from local restaurants. We don't use chemicals, or we use natural cleaners when we clean our cars, like things as simple as vinegar and water.
Right.
And we offer to our renters, when they come in, we have coolers and reusable shopping grocery store bags and boogie boards, things that they can borrow, things so that they don't have to feel like they have to buy something that they're just going to toss away when they leave Maui.
Right.
So things like that.
Got it.
And then, from a service perspective, we it's a lot more personal, because it's me and my partner Pam who deal with all of our renters, and we pick them up at the airport, we drop them off at the airport, and it's just they're not waiting in line.
That's nice.
Like they would at one of the big rental car companies.
And how many cars do you have right now in service?
16.
And what kind of cars are there compared to, some people might have a larger family, some people might want, a 2-door or 4-door. What kind of cars do you have to offer the people that want to be in Maui and be green while they go around the island?
Well, we started with the biodiesel cars, so we have
Sure.
Volkswagen Beetles and Volkswagen Jettas.
Right.
We also have a Jeep Liberty. So that's our biodiesel line. And then back in around 2009, we decided that we wanted to offer the Toyota Prius, since it's the most fuel-efficient car sold in the U.S.
Wow.
And then in 2011, all of a sudden, there's electric cars that became available. We got a Nissan Leaf, and in 2012, we added the Chevy Volt.
Huh.
So, we want to add, the greenest cars that become available.
That is so amazing. And what do people ask for the most? Like, what's the hot car now? What do people want to drive?
Well, people who contact us, most of them want the biodiesel cars. They want the Jetta. The Jetta is a great rental car because it's a 4-door sedan, has a large trunk, so it's really accommodating. Some people though want a smaller car, so the Beetle works really well for them. And the Jeep, is a little bit bigger, 4-wheel drive, much better clearance on the roads. So it just depends on what their individual needs are, but the Jetta seems to be the most popular one we have.
Shaun, is this a new paradigm that you could roll out to different cities if you want across America? Are there other Shaun Stenshols across America that are doing eco green car rental as just a one-offs, and is this a major trend that you start seeing, or is this something you could literally brand and just say, I'm going to go do this in LA, I'm going to go do this on Kauai. I mean, I'm going to go do this in all across the United States.
Well, it definitely has potential. I mean, we're the only ones who rent biodiesel cars, for example.
Unbelievable.
Some of the other big rental car companies are renting the electric cars and the Priuses, but it's hard to book those cars with those companies for some reason. So I think there definitely is the opportunity to grow. I mean, we have tried renting cars in other areas. Managing rental cars in Los Angeles from Maui. We actually did that for 2 years. It's
hard.
It was a little challenging, so we stopped doing it. But our goal is to expand, and other people, certainly could offer the same thing, because it is unique. especially the biodiesel cars.
And talk about biodiesel. Is it hard to find? Well, if I rent one of your biodiesel cars in Maui, where do I fill up? Is it hard to find biodiesel? And, how does that work?
Well, there's 2 biodiesel stations on Maui, one around the corner from our office in Kahului, which is central Maui, and one on the far west side of the island in Lahaina.
Right.
And, the real advantage of our biodiesel cars is that, for example, from the biodiesel station in Kahului, the farthest you can drive away from that station is maybe 65 miles.
Right.
And our cars get well over 400 miles on a tank of fuel.
Right.
So it's not an issue. I mean, electric cars present different issues from range.
Yeah.
But we found that some people are concerned about the biodiesel cars because of range, but we always have to tell them that it's just not an issue at all, because the cars are really fuel efficient. That's a side benefit of diesel cars, is that they're a lot more fuel efficient than a gasoline car.
How about the cars that you charge? If I rented one of your charge cars, where do I charge it on the island of Maui? Is that a hard thing now to find places to plug into?
Well, it to a degree depends where you're going, but a lot of the hotels and shopping centers have charging stations.
Oh.
There's also a Japanese group that's installing a lot of fast chargers for the Nissan Leaf on Maui. That's not fully installed yet, but it's happening. And a lot of our renters for the electric cars, if they're staying at a place that has an outlet, the electric cars actually come with their own charger that can plug into a standard outlet. So if they charge overnight, they generally have a full charge when they wake up in the morning.
Are the shopping malls or the hotels, or is this new Japanese company, is there a charge to charging your cars?
For most cases, no. It's free to charge.
Wow.
At most charge stations. There's some that charge small fees, like they might charge $1.50 an hour or $2 an hour, something like that. But the fast chargers are all free right now. And there will be a small charge for them in the future, but
right.
That's another side benefit of the electric cars, is that if you do it right, you can actually drive them for free.
Huh. But help me through this. If with regards to electricity, if electricity is made from fossil fuels, are we really saving that much if we got to create electricity then to charge the electric cars? What's the cost benefit analysis, or is that just silly old thinking that I'm bringing up?
Well, it depends where you're located. Maui has two large wind farms and a lot of solar electricity installed around the island. And then and every week that passes, there's more solar being installed. So over time, electric cars become greener, just because the grid is becoming greener. But the other thing is, even if they are charged just with fossil fuel electricity, they're still more efficient, because electric motors are super efficient, and the electric grid itself is a lot more efficient than, say, a gasoline car engine by itself.
Right.
If that makes sense. So overall, the efficiency, even without the renewable energy, it makes more sense. But like I said, over time, the grid, not just on Maui but everywhere, is becoming greener just because of all the renewable energy that's being installed, solar and wind. Speaking
of greener, I mean, we've got about 4 minutes left. You are also, you also own now Maui Recycling. Is that the leading recycling company on the island of Maui?
We're the biggest recycling company on Maui.
Unbelievable.
There's a few other haulers, but their other haulers their main business is trash. So our focus is, we do a small amount of trash, but the vast majority of our business is recycling. How do you have the time? You're running now a growing rental car company, up to 16 cars. You own the largest recycling company on the island. I mean, my gosh. I mean, if someone deserves Sustainability of the Century Award, is you. And then how do you have the time to run both? It's busy. Busy. Yeah. So do what I can.
With regards to your growing Eco-Beetle, Eco Rental Car, Bio-Beetle company, and for our listeners out there, again, it's www.bio-beetle.com. is 16 cars doesn't get cheap. Are you raising money to grow this? Or are you just doing it organically from the profits you make? How's that working?
Well, to date, we've done it organically.
Yeah.
We've had some individuals who really like what we're doing, and they'll give us maybe lower interest loans than what we could get from, say, a bank.
Right.
But so that's really how we've operated ever since we began. We haven't brought investors in yet. I mean, that's something that could happen, but we're just kind of seeing where it goes.
What's 2 minutes left? What's the future of Bio-Beetle? What's your goal? What's your dreams? What do you want to do with it?
Well, we want to have cars on all 4 main islands: Kauai, Oahu, the Big Island, and Maui, of course, and possibly expand to the West Coast at least. There's certain cities on the West Coast that would be a great fit for Bio-Beetle, and then just keep offering the most fuel-efficient, greenest cars that become available, whatever they might be. It could be hydrogen cars. Who knows? I mean, the potential is enormous, and I think that people like us who are committed to the environment first, we really have an opportunity, because other companies, that's just not their focus. Their focus is profit for their shareholders, and obviously we need to make money too to be successful. To offer the cars, but that gives us an edge. We feel is that we still got that. We'll always have that focus on the greenest cars.
Any last thoughts there's a lot of young entrepreneurs or wannabe entrepreneurs out there that listen to the show, not only in the United States but around the world, because the show now gets broadcast everywhere. You've done this now from Greenpeace to Maui Recycling to Bio-Beetle Eco Rental Cars. You're a serial sustainability superstar. Any final thoughts for the young people out there that want to follow and be the next Shaun Stenshol?
Well, they got to follow their passion. You want to, in your life, ideally, you want to do things that you enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And, my advice is that, most corporate business in the world is not focused on sustainability or green ideas, and so that means there's an enormous amount of potential for people to say, hey, here's a business. It could be any kind of business. It could be a tow truck. They could be, hey, I want to be a biodiesel tow truck company or something like that.
Right.
Just pick a business that something that you would like to do and make it green.
I love it. That's great.
And just put everything you've got into it, and you can make it work.
Your heart and soul. Well, obviously, you've made it work. Again, thank you, Shaun, for your time today. Shaun Stenshol, if you want to learn more about Shaun or Bio-Beetle Rental Cars or rent his cars when you go to Maui, go to www.bio-beetle.com. Shaun Stenshol, you are a sustainability superstar. Thank you for your leadership for Bio-Beetle Eco Rental Cars and Maui Recycling. And you are truly living proof that green is good.
Thank you.